Right now, first at 4, the first tropical storm of the season is crawling along the Florida coast.
We have team coverage of the impact, plus find out when it could develop into a hurricane.
Also, why investigators were forced to set off a small explosion in a local landfill.
Then the largest car seat recall in American history.
Hear about the products that could put millions of children at risk. West News First at 4 starts right now.
Local, live, late breaking. This is West 2 News First at 4 in high definition.
Right now at 4, we are tracking Tropical Storm Arthur, the first named storm of the hurricane season.
The storm is whipping up rough surf from Brevard to Volusia, north to Flagler County. And right now, lifeguards up and down the Central Florida coast are on alert. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Payne.
I'm Martha Sigalski. Tropical Storm Arthur is moving at a snail's pace off our coast.
We have team coverage. West 2's Dan Billow is on the beach. We begin with First Alert meteorologist Jason Brewer, who's tracking Arthur's slow progress.
Right now, Arthur continuing to show signs of strengthening just a bit. Hurricane hunters are in there finding some lower pressures. We're going to have the latest coming up throughout this broadcast on how strong it will get. But right now, it's going to make its closest approach to our coastline overnight into early tomorrow morning. We have 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds, so Arthur, a minimal tropical storm, but nevertheless only about 80 miles off to the southeast of Cape Canaveral. Now, as we go forward, we're going to be lifting this out to the northeast away from Central Florida starting late Wednesday into Thursday, and then by Friday, forecast to be a hurricane brushing the outer banks of North Carolina, eventually moving east of the rest of the eastern seaboard. So we're looking at the potential for funnel clouds, coastal downpours, rips, rough surf, beach erosion, and increased concern as this system has strengthened just a little bit. Here we go on the radar picture, bands of heavy rain moving into particularly Volusia County right now, tracking right near I-4, tracking through Seminole down into parts of Orange eventually. Right now in Brevard County, getting a little bit of a break here. But you see these heavier downpours moving through the east side of Seminole and Orange County. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll talk more about the latest rainfall forecast and, of course, a look at your 4th of July weekend. All coming up.
All right, Jason, thanks a lot. The effects of Tropical Storm Arthur are strongest in Brevard County, which is closest to the eye of the storm.
Lifeguards are warning people that the surf conditions are hazardous.
West 2's Dan Billow is in Indialantic, and Dan, inviting but potentially dangerous.
Well, that's right. The storm, as you mentioned, is easing toward us here in Indialantic, Jim, and you can easily feel its effects. With my handheld wind gauge, I've been getting readings at 17, 20, 22 miles an hour. Patrick Air Force Base has recorded a gust of 29 miles an hour. Nothing damaging, but the lifeguards have hung out their red flags. That is for sure. It seems every hour or so another strong shower comes in off the Atlantic. Lifeguards say you swim at your own risk in these conditions. Even shallow water can be rough. However, there have been few, if any, rescues along the Brevard coast. Conditions will remain windy and rough through tomorrow, and that's changing some plans for people along the beaches.
Don't know much about the tropical storm out there. We were supposed to go deep sea fishing today, but that was called off because of the weather. But I'm just gonna go back and still enjoy its nice warm heat. So.
Well, the windy and rough conditions are keeping a lot of people out of the water, so that could be a good thing, but there are plenty of sightseers here to take a look at the Atlantic when she's really stirred up. And this is going to make things difficult for a rescue that the Coast Guard happens to be making 3 miles off Cape Canaveral. A boat anchored out there, I should say a ship 500 foot long, a very large ship, has 18 crew members with serious food poisoning. They've got to go out and get them in a helicopter. That's going to be a little pretty rough. 35 knot winds out there, 5 to 6 foot seas, so the helicopter in the midst of that rescue of a crew with food poisoning just off our coast. We're live in Indialantic. Dan Billow, West 2 News.
The bomb squad gets called out to a local landfill. They blew up a suspicious device at the dump on West Keene Road in Apopka around 2 o'clock today. West 2's Michelle Meredith is there live right now. And Michelle, they're now trying to track down whoever brought the device to that landfill.
Well, here's the bottom line. The devices found in this landfill were not real bombs, but they were meant to look real. And for law enforcement, the question is why. This started close to 11 this morning when workers at this landfill in Apopka on West Keene Road discovered a suspicious device. Turns out there were several. One was described as a gadget with a number of cylinders. Apopka police called on the Orange County Bomb Squad. The bomb squad contained the area, then blew them up and determined the devices were not actual bombs, but the investigation is far from over.
The issue right now is we don't know if there's criminal activity afoot. They just were disposing of them and improperly disposed of them, or wanted to get the kind of response that they got. So Orange County Sheriff's Office, Apopka detectives and the FBI are going to look into this particular incident and see if there was criminal activity afoot.
So did someone make props for a school play and toss it in the trash, or is something more sinister involved? Law enforcement says they will be able to figure it out. They say this was a fresh load of garbage and they know where it came from. Live in Orange County, Michelle Meredith, West 2 News.
New today, we have received the 911 calls moments after a triple murder and apartment fire in Orange County that investigators today say was deliberately set.
Sir, I can't help you. Unless you tell me where you are.
The Misty Oaks apartment went up in flames back on March 11th, leaving a woman and her 2 young nephews dead. The state fire marshal has said an accelerant was used to start the blaze. LaRon Richardson has been charged with 3 counts of murder in this case. He turned himself in to the Orange County Jail last week.
A 23-year-old Oviedo man faces charges of sexual battery after deputies say he took 2 teenage girls back to his apartment and got them drunk, then raped one of them. West 2's Amanda Ober joining us live from outside the Seminole County Sheriff's Office with more on how that suspect met the girls. Amanda.
Yeah, Martha, according to the arrest report, the suspect hooked up with these teenage girls at a local convenience store, convinced them to come back to his apartment where he gave them alcohol. And one of the teens was so incapacitated she passed out. Seminole County Sheriff's deputies say 23-year-old Sebastian Malika was arrested Tuesday morning for allegedly getting 2 teenage girls drunk and then having sex with them. Detectives say the incident happened inside Malika's Oviedo apartment at the Riverwind at Alafaya Trail. Malika first met the teens at a local convenience store several weeks ago. The girls, who were spending the night together last Friday, snuck out of the house and returned to that same store to meet up with Malika again.
On this past Friday evening, they all agreed to meet up again, and they went back to his apartment where he provided them alcohol, and the alleged sexual contact occurred.
According to the arrest report, Malika gave the 15 and 16-year-old girls Bacardi Limon liquor. The 16-year-old had sexual contact with Malika first, and according to the arrest report, she told police she saw Sebastian Malika engage in sexual intercourse with her friend while she was physically incapacitated. Investigators say when they interviewed the 15-year-old, she stated that she has no recollection of the sexual activity with Malika, but does remember that he provided her with alcohol. The report goes on to say a medical exam was conducted on the 15-year-old, which was consistent with sexual assault. Police say they learned of the crime after the 16-year-old told her parents what had happened. Malika now faces a count of sexual battery on a minor and 2 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Now, according to sheriff's investigators, Malika did admit that he was aware that these girls were just ages 15 and 16. He was booked into the Seminole County Jail on $25,000 bond and has since bonded out. Live in Seminole County, Amanda Ober, West 2 News.
A Marion County woman has been arrested accused of lewd acts with a 14-year-old. The victim told investigators 19-year-old Kelly Moss gave the teen alcohol and that the 2 of them had inappropriate contact twice in June. Moss admitted to authorities that she had been in the victim's bedroom. Detectives are asking parents of children who've been around her to speak with them to make sure there are no other potential victims.
A very close call for a Daytona Beach Shores police officer after a suspect pointed a gun right in his face. Officers spotted 25-year-old Milton Torres riding a bike without lights just after midnight and learned he might have had a warrant out in Connecticut. They tasered him when he tried to run, but he fought back and pulled out a gun. Police were able to subdue him after a short struggle.
First Lady Michelle Obama pays a visit to Central Florida. She spoke at the American School Counselor Association annual conference at Walt Disney World's Dolphin Hotel. The organization helps support school counselors' efforts to help students focus on academic, social, and career development. Hear the message she had for the group coming up later at 4:30. Right now, huge crowds of people have filled up Wall Street in downtown Orlando to watch Team USA compete in their latest World Cup match.
In this one, we either win or we go home.
WESH 2's Dave McDaniel is live in the middle of the fan frenzy. Dave?
That's right. We're in Wall Street Plaza, or as Orlando City calls it, Soccer Central, and they are packed in here. Everybody positioning themselves in front of a television, trying to catch all of the action. You know, it's interesting. There was loud music. It was a party atmosphere early on. Now that the game has started, people are watching the game intently. This is a soccer town. They're watching every kick of the ball, every roll. They're making calls here, saying whether or not they're getting fair play or not. But everybody here is hoping USA can keep going from the round of 16 into the quarterfinals. It's a big day against Belgium. It's still 0-0. But again, what is it? USA! 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 And another big thing going on here at halftime. Kaká, who's going to be joining the Orlando City as an MLS designated player, a huge star. He is going to be here to be introduced to the crowd at halftime. Everybody's looking forward to that. I'm told by a member of the Orlando City folks that he has 20 million Twitter followers, more than LeBron and Kobe combined. I don't know how that goes if you add my Twitter followers in, but it's a big day here at Soccer Central. Everybody cheering on USA. Reporting live at Soccer Central, Dave McDaniel, WESH 2 News.
And as Dave just said, fans downtown will get a visit from Orlando's newest soccer star during halftime. Kaká has officially been introduced as the newest member of the Orlando City Lions. The Brazilian soccer player received a rock star welcome today. Kaká has signed a 3.5-year deal with the soon-to-be MLS team. He says the deal has been in the works since the team was bought 2 years ago.
I like Orlando as a city, but first of all, I like the project. I think Flavio had a visionary project for this team, for Orlando City, and for this I think it's very good. So for that I decided to come and play for Orlando City.
The 32-year-old has played in 3 World Cups for his native Brazil, including the 2002 championship winning team. Investigators take down more than a dozen suspects that were allegedly trying to have sex with children.
And deputies say some of the suspects work around little kids.
Then some parents are forced to cut their kids out of their car seats. Hear about the historic recall that's now underway.
Then a woman is brutally beaten in front of a crowd of people. The only person who tried to help can barely walk. You're watching WESH 2 News, first at 4.
Local, live, late breaking. This is WESH 2 News first at 4 with Martha Zagowski, Jim Payne, and First Alert meteorologist Jason Brewer. This is WESH 2 News first at 4 in high definition.
Investigators arrest several theme park workers and a Central Florida teacher in a child sex sting.
WESH 2's Brett Conley is here with the just released video of the takedowns. Brett.
Martha, this was an undercover operation conducted by the Polk County Sheriff's Office that ended with 16 men getting arrested, including the 3 you just mentioned. And here's what it looked like when those suspects walked through the door. One by one, law enforcement taking suspects into custody, and all of it caught on camera. The Sheriff's Office says detectives posed as children online, and numerous men ended up responding, talking, texting, and emailing who they thought were children, but were in fact undercover detectives. Police say suspects solicited sex acts, sent pornographic pictures of themselves, and asked for naked photos of children to be sent in return. And this was a 2-part operation by the Sheriff's Office that wrapped up Monday night, and among those arrested, Polk County teacher Matthew Tillison. Authorities say the 28-year-old is a geometry teacher at Haines City High School, and prior to that worked at Westwood Middle School and was also a substitute in Pinellas County. Officials say the teacher's computer had 50 images of child pornography, with the youngest victim just 1 or 2 years old. He's now charged with 50 counts possession of child pornography. And regarding the 2 theme park workers, 2 suspects told detectives they work at Walt Disney World, while another saying they work at Universal Studios. Martha?
Brett, thank you. Right now, Graco is recalling nearly 2 million infant car seats. It is the biggest recall of its kind in U.S. history. The company is recalling harness buckles used on seats manufactured between July 2010 and May of 2013. Officials say the buckles can get gummed up by food and drinks, making it difficult to remove children. Graco will provide a free replacement buckle to customers. Now, earlier this year, the company also recalled 3.8 million defective belt harnesses on toddler car seats. A Flagler County man is charged with animal cruelty after a dog that he tied up in a thunderstorm choked to death trying to get out of that bad weather. Deputies say 25-year-old Brian Leonard was caring for a friend's bulldog back in May. He allegedly took the animal to a campsite and left him on a leash with a choke collar. Leonard returned after the storm to find the dog dead.
More than 150 new laws are now in effect across Florida. Among them, undocumented students can qualify for in-state tuition at Florida colleges if they attend at least 3 years of high school in our state. There are tighter restrictions on third trimester abortions, requiring 2 doctors to certify in writing that termination is necessary to save the mother's life or avoid substantial physical harm. To see the full list, go to WESH.com.
Severe weather leaves several people injured at a minor league baseball game in Iowa. Video capturing 80-mile-an-hour winds blowing a heavy tarp right there around the field after the Cedar Rapids Colonels baseball game yesterday. Members of the team's staff and ground crew were trying to pull the tarp over the field at the time. 4 people were injured and 3 went to the hospital with possible concussions. No players were on the field at the time of the incident.
A powerful lightning storm is captured lighting up the sky in Chicago. You can see lightning strike the Willis Tower several times last night. The powerful storm system also brought strong winds and damaged several buildings. Chicago's O'Hare Airport set a record for daily rainfall with 2.6 inches of rain yesterday.
All eyes on Arthur right now.
Arthur hanging out off the coastline, trying to move northward, but still heading closer to our coast on into tonight and on into tomorrow. So right now we're seeing the worst effects from all the waves really coming into Brevard County. This is actually a live camera here from Cocoa Beach, right there along the pier, and the waves coming up and trying to eat away at the sand. Some beach erosion concerns are definitely rising as Arthur is strengthening just a little bit. Right now you can see that path. It is going to be taking its way northward and eventually northeastward right up the southeastern seaboard and could be a hurricane as it brushes by the Outer Banks on Friday. Right now, though, it is only a 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm, but really starting to do its tricks there on the ocean and really create that rip current concern, the rough surf, the choppy conditions. Right now, an up-close look at that path brings Arthur up 8 in the morning, due east of about Cape Canaveral, and then by tomorrow evening, it's starting to pull away from Central Florida. So the sea heights are built up 6 to 9 feet right now at Satellite Beach, and then we'll see a gradual improvement here right through the end of the week as those winds turn offshore and start to flatten everything out. Now at Flagler Beach, we're going to continue to see those waves up 6 to 9 feet right on through tomorrow, and then we'll start to see them subside. Remember, you are still a ways away from feeling some of the worst seas there from what Arthur's going to be churning up. Right now, bands of rain, those squally showers coming through, then the sun comes back out, then maybe you get another band of rain. So our rain pattern, not typical for this time of the year. This is associated with a tropical cyclone off to the east of Central Florida. There's that heavy rain in Oviedo making its way over toward Orlando International Airport. Another band over Christmas making its way toward Wedgefield. Here's some coming in right over Daytona Beach. Just a wet beach afternoon right now, but that will pass off to the southwest and you'll get a little bit of a break. And in Brevard County, skies are fairly gray, but right now rain free along most of the coastline. A couple more showers will be coming in later, though. Temps right now 90 in Orlando, 79 at Daytona Beach. So big difference where you're seeing the sun and the rain. Winds just gusted to 30 in Orlando, by the way, 28 in Melbourne. And you see those overnight temps a little above normal with the moisture in the clouds and the breeze, periods of rain, mid and upper 70s as you start out your day tomorrow. Lots of clouds tomorrow. High temperatures may still get into the low 90s inland. We'll keep it a little cooler at the coast. There's our tropical storm off the coastline. So tomorrow, about a 60% coverage of the rain. Showers and squalls and breezy conditions. Rainfall looks like about an inch or 2 at least in Brevard County. Our European model even up 3 to 4 inches there. That's why localized flooding is our greatest concern in Brevard County. There's your 4th of July outlook, a high of 94, a little lower rain chance. More on that straight ahead, Martha and Jim.
Jason, thanks. A mother is beaten.
It happened in front of her 2-year-old child. See the video of this horrific crime and the crowds that just stood around and watched.
Then the evil message that's popping up around one town and why authorities are calling it a possible hate crime. Today, thousands of grief-stricken family and friends gathered to mourn 3 teens found murdered in Israel.
The bodies of 2 16-year-old boys and 1 19-year-old were found yesterday. The victims went missing from the West Bank June 12th. Israeli officials believe 2 well-known Hamas operatives are responsible for kidnapping and killing the 3 young men. Yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu promised that Hamas will pay.
A New Jersey mother is brutally beaten in front of a crowd of people, and the only one who tried to save her was her 2-year-old son watching it all happen. Cell phone video from one of the bystanders captured 25-year-old Laisha Harris punching the victim so hard in the face last week that she broke her nose and gave her a concussion. Video also shows the victim's young son screaming and kicking Harris in an attempt to save his mother. Harris works with the victim at McDonald's. She turned herself into authorities last night.
And police investigating a possible hate crime after vandals spray paint 666 on several Texas landmarks. First, vandals defaced the nation's largest gay church in Dallas, then just 1 mile away, the entrance of a gay entertainment and lifestyle boulevard also stained with the number 666. Several news and media buildings were also vandalized. Police do not believe the acts were random.
New concerns about prescription drug overdoses across the country.
It's a problem that's been rampant here in Florida, but here why authorities are now calling the state a sign of success.
A woman fights in family court in Orange County for custody of one of her children while authorities continue to investigate the mysterious death of her other child. I'm Greg Fox with the latest developments in this case.
Then the latest track for Tropical Storm Arthur and its effects in Central Florida straight ahead on West 2 News, first at 4.
School counselors, I remember them back in the dark ages, but do you have any idea about the student to counselor ratio now here in Florida? I'm Gail Pascal Brown with that story coming up.
Local, live, late breaking. This is Wish 2 News first at 4 in high definition.
Right now, we are tracking the impact of the first tropical storm of the season. Tropical Storm Arthur is kicking up the surf in Brevard County.
And the big waves are also drawing big crowds in Volusia County this afternoon. The outer bands of the storm are only grazing Central Florida.
And it's slowly crawling its way up the eastern seaboard. West 2 First Alert meteorologist Jason Brewer is in the Weather Center tracking Tropical Storm Arthur.
That's right, Jim. Arthur, we are going to stay on the west side of this tropical cyclone, which is the side that you'd prefer to be on to stay out of the worst weather. But we're still concerned about some funnel cloud possibilities, some localized heavy rain, particularly along the coastline. You can see it's going to be making its closest approach overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. If you focus on the track now up to Wednesday morning, then it's due east of Cape Canaveral. Then it's making its way northward and slowly creeping farther and farther away from our coastline. But right now it's barely moving. It's gently moving northwest at only 5 miles an hour. Hurricane hunters are out there finding some very strong winds near the Bahamas. Not so much on our side of the storm, thankfully, but we will have the latest advisory coming up by the end of this broadcast or at 5 o'clock. As soon as we can get that information, we'll bring it to you. Tropical storm watches continue for all of the Central Florida coastline, meaning tropical storm conditions are possible. Right now, the official forecast keeps the center of all the tropical storm force sustained winds well off of our shoreline. That may be expanded a bit with the next advisory. Right now, you see those heavy squalls coming ashore, Volusia, on into Seminole, even Orange County, and we're seeing a few downpours in Brevard as well. Right now, some heavy rain right on the 417 to give those evening drive folks some wet weather. I'll have much more straight ahead. Back to you.
A local mom will not regain custody of her young son, at least until the death of her daughter is fully investigated.
West 2's Greg Fox has the latest details and word the woman can visit her son only with special supervision.
Here inside the Juvenile Justice Center in Orange County, the mother of a 3-year-old girl who died Friday night dodged our questions as we tried to get some more answers about what happened to the little girl. Can you tell us exactly what happened to your daughter? Marianne Schwartz moved quickly through the hallway of the Juvenile Justice Center, answering not one reporter question about the death of her daughter. Once inside family court to try and win back custody of her 2-year-old son, a judge verified that the toddler is safe in foster care and decided that's where he should stay. DCF workers, while declining to provide details of the investigation into the death of Schwartz's daughter, say their own probe reveals multiple children in the apartment may have been targets of physical abuse. Explain exactly what happened. Schwartz shares the home with Vanessa Morales, a mother of 3.
We have concerns that both the 2-year-old of Ms. Schwartz and the other 3 children of Ms. Morales, that there are allegations of physical abuse to them. And that's what we're actively investigating at this point.
Morales' children, ages 4 through 6, are staying with her mother. The judge set routine visitation rules for them, but ordered more stringent rules for visitation between Schwartz and her son, to include a child welfare caseworker present at all times. Claiming that her daughter, Yeliani Schwartz Ojeda, had been struck by a hit-and-run driver Friday night in the apartment parking lot, she said she then began driving to a hospital, called 911, and finally stopped in a Walgreens parking lot. By the time an ambulance got there and rushed her to Arnold Palmer Hospital, it was too late to save the little girl. While the investigation into the 3-year-old's death continues, at this point, no one is being named a suspect. No charges have been filed. In Orlando, Greg Fox, WESH 2 News.
Right now, police in Holly Hill are looking for a gunman who shot a man inside his own home. Officers say the 33-year-old victim was shot in his Unibel Street home last night. It's not clear how the gunman got inside, but the victim's family was awakened and got a glimpse of the suspect as he ran from the house. The victim's mother told police her son named a suspect after he came out of surgery. That name has not been released.
The hope is by the year 2020, America will once again have the highest proportion of college graduates in the world. First Lady Michelle Obama was in Central Florida today explaining how her own initiative can help. Her audience, people your children see every day, academic school counselors. WESH 2's Gail Pascal Brown has more on the First Lady's visit.
These UCF students are aspiring to be school counselors. In fact, this entire room is filled with school counselors. The First Lady has a message for them today.
First Lady Michelle Obama came to spread the word about her Reach Higher initiative. The goal is to inspire every child to complete their education beyond high school. First, she had a few thank yous for these academic school counselors.
Thank you for your passion and your dedication. Thank you for refusing to give up.
Even when the caseloads are huge, for every 451 students in Florida, there's one counselor. The American School Counselor Association recommends a ratio of 250 to 1. California is even higher, with over 1,000 students per counselor.
The national average is one school counselor for every 471 students. And that is outrageous.
The First Lady says that is why counselors are the key component to Reach Higher. There's more help to schools for counselors, recently announced by the Secretary of Education.
That they can and should use their budgets to create professional development units for school counselors.
A focus on improving training and personal development for school counselors. Plus,
starting next year, for the first time ever, we will also hold a White House ceremony honoring the School Counselor of the Year.
It really looks like she wants to provide care to the care providers in a way that catalyzes our ability to help students, and I'm excited about how that's going to impact kids across the country.
And I'm glad that now with the REACH initiative that we have the White House and the First Lady and the government backing our profession.
For those aspiring counselors, they say the First Lady's comments gave them a real good dose of reality. For those who are counselors, they say this is the support they needed. I'm Gail Pascal Brown at Walt Disney World for WESH 2 News.
Some parents in Seminole County will soon have to find a new doctor for their kids. The county health department is getting rid of its pediatric services due to budget cuts. County leaders say they'll work to make sure clients are placed with local health care providers. The county's pediatric program will run until August 1st.
The Obama administration is now under fire for allegedly trying to cover up health care discrepancies. In a report released today, the Health and Human Services Inspector General says the government has been unable to resolve 2.6 million inconsistencies. The report also claims the errors could potentially jeopardize coverage for millions of Americans. Most deal with citizenship and consumers' income information that conflicted with federal records.
Horror stories are starting to mount as more and more undocumented, unaccompanied immigrant children are crossing the Mexico border into the U.S. Today, a group of those immigrants is being transferred from Texas to California. Steve Handelsman reports on the growing immigration issue.
Every day, more come. Today, children from Central America, some with adults, were flown to San Diego in U.S. custody. They had journeyed across Mexico to the border near McAllen, Texas, told they'd get easy access to the U.S. and a new life. Instead, they will go to ever more overcrowded detention centers. Democrats blame Republicans for the kids' suffering.
Laying on concrete floors, stacked up on top of one another, that was something that you'd see in a disaster area. So it is a failure by the Congress.
Republicans blame President Obama for insisting on a comprehensive fix that includes amnesty for those in the U.S. illegally, a plan condemned by conservatives.
So we can't reform our immigration laws, we can't reform visa laws, we can't increase visa quotas, we can't do anything because we have to have amnesty. And what that's done is create this enormous gridlock and controversy in Washington.
We can't wait for Congress.
The president vowed today on his own with executive orders to tackle just the immediate crisis of the kids.
Whatever we do administratively is not going to be sufficient to solve a broken immigration system.
He's asking Congress for $2 billion for more immigration judges, more detention facilities, and an okay for more deportations. Secretary of State Kerry asked Central American leaders to stop their kids from heading to the U.S.
The lives of children cannot be put at risk this way.
The kids' suffering pointing at the political failure in Washington. Union leaders, Democrats, know it's unlikely, but they're demanding that President Obama on his own provide work permits to the more than 11 million immigrants in the U.S. illegally. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Capitol Hill.
Whether he is on the court or on the field, the 15-year-old you're about to meet loves to be part of a team. And tonight we're cheering for Dalton to be a part of the ultimate team, his own forever family. What grade are you in?
8th.
8th grade? So you're middle school? Last year?
Junior high, actually. My name is Dalton. I'm in 8th, and I'm 15.
Dalton, what did you like about the Science Center today? What did you think?
Always into science, so like everything about science I like. I like all subjects, math, reading. What I like about school is that it's just a new place to be. Every single year, new kids come out, you know, having new friends.
And what makes you a cool kid?
Love to hang out with people, caring, helping, because I'd like to help a bunch, so.
What's your favorite sport?
I'm doing basketball, but football is also my second. I'm more like being a part of a team. I love it, I always have, and it's just exciting.
What do you want to be when you get older?
I'm actually going to go to college here, and then I'm going to try to go to college in France. I would like to make games, working with electronics. My free time, just be, you know, just create my own music.
What would you like in a family?
I'm actually very peaceful, don't like all the drama, don't like arguing. Just somebody who is caring, mom and dad.
Why is that important for you to have both?
Because I believe there's got to be balance. My name is Dalton, and I'm looking for a forever family.
To learn more about adopting Dalton or other children from local foster care, you can contact the Community Partnership for Children through Forever Family at 1-888-365-FAMILY or head to foreverfamily.org. You can find all that information under the Community tab at WESH.com. It is a dangerous drug trend.
Prescription pill overdoses killing people all across the country, and now new information shows just how widespread this problem is and why Florida is actually being called a success story.
And meet the Florida dog that's making national headlines for his unusual looks. Oh my.
Yeah, it's a crazy looking hound. Fine looking hound, actually. Live look at the effects of Tropical Storm Arthur on Indialantic Beach, where a red flag warning is up, actually across much of the Central Florida coast. We are tracking Arthur, and we'll have the very latest coming up.
And a lot of red, white, and blue downtown right now as you take a live picture of the party happening at Wall Street as USA is taking on Belgium right now in World Cup soccer. We're trying not to watch the monitor over there because the game's on.
Oh, I'm watching it.
Yeah, I'm watching it
It's
too.
scoreless.
So is everyone else.
Close, tight. Yikes.
Good.
No, tell me about it. Disturbing new information about the number of people dying from prescription pill abuse.
In 1 year, the CDC found more people died from prescription painkiller overdoses than heroin, cocaine, car crashes, and suicides combined.
Erica Edwards reports those numbers vary greatly from state to state.
Treatment of severe pain may not depend on how badly you feel, but where you live. A new report from the Centers for Disease Control finds prescription rates for opioid painkillers like oxycodone and hydrocodone vary widely from state to state. Looking at the map, states with the highest prescription rates are shown in dark purple. Most are in the South, with Alabama topping the list. Experts say it's not that people living in southern states are in more pain than others. The South has the highest rates of antibiotic prescriptions as well.
Clearly, there's disagreement or a lack of consensus among healthcare providers across the country as to when to prescribe this type of drug.
The problem is there's a link between the number of prescriptions written and overdoses. Florida is touted as a success story, slashing the number of overdose deaths in half within 2 years of legislative action against pill mills. The state regulated pain clinics and stopped doctors from dispensing prescription painkillers from their offices. Hawaii was the state with the fewest opioid prescriptions written. Erica Edwards, NBC News.
The CDC calls Florida a success story in the fight against illegal prescription drugs. After cracking down on doctors and raids on pill mills, the number of drug overdose deaths decreased by 16% from 2010 to 2012.
Federal investigators say there are no signs anyone became sick after an anthrax scare at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Earlier this month, the CDC says dozens of workers may have been accidentally exposed to anthrax at 3 Atlanta labs, but the CDC has not found any traces of the substance, and it's not clear that any anthrax was even released.
Beyonce has knocked Oprah from the top spot on Forbes' list of the 100 most powerful celebrities. Beyonce is not the top earner on the list, but her A-list status propelled her to the top. LeBron James and Dr. Dre round out the top 3, and Oprah now ranked number 4.
Some retired fighter jets have made it to their final destination down in Davy Jones's locker off the Florida coast. These 2 retired fighter jets are now the latest addition to a growing artificial reef in the Gulf of Mexico. They used to be on display in Panama City, but the jets were moved because of construction projects. Officials hope in addition to attracting more fish to the area, more divers will also get a chance to see the jets up close.
All eyes on Arthur right now as it slowly makes its way up the coast.
Yeah, moving about the pace of a brisk walk now, Jason, but along the coast you can really feel the effects.
Yeah, really noticing a change here. It's really getting gray, and we have the ugliest weather really in Brevard County. Also some downpours coming in through Volusia, and right now we're taking a live look at Flagler Beach where it's sunnier, and you can see this in HD. Of course, the waves kicking up, but this is clearly our best beach weather out of all 3. Now that'll change into tomorrow as Arthur begins to lift more to the north. In fact, we're just getting the new advisory in, and I believe it's slowed down just a little bit. Tony's nodding his head yes. The brand new information coming in from the Hurricane Center. We'll have that for you straight ahead. But look at the high tide times coming up tonight, and these are the times that we're concerned about the minor beach erosion and even some coastal flooding in those spots that are prone to that. Tropical storm Arthur moving generally northwestward, but at a very slow pace. It'll be lifting generally northward into tomorrow and eventually make that turn northeastward on Thursday and get farther away from our coastline. But it does make its closest approach overnight tonight into tomorrow morning and then makes its way north and eastward and leaves us alone. But here is a look at that buoy data right now out over the Atlantic near the Bahamas. You can see those tropical storm winds here near the Bahamas. We've been getting reports at flight level from the Hurricane Center in excess of 64 knots. That's not necessarily getting down to the sea surface, but you can see there's a lot of energy right here in that band, that ball of convection right there on the southeast side of the center of Arthur. Now the winds here, Melbourne, Orlando, around 30 miles an hour. We're going to get some higher gusts and some of the squalls that are coming through. That's the concern, that we could see winds gusting 40, 50 miles an hour. And we get some of those thunderstorms popping up, we could get a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust at really at any time as we get some of the heat of the day, too. You see some of those heavier downpours now moving right over OIA. We got the repeated bands coming in around New Smyrna. There's Ponce Inlet right there. More rain coming in just north of Daytona, right around Ormond Beach. And then our camera there at Flagler Beach. Right outside of those showers, a whole different story. Back here in Brevard, really a break in some of the rain right now, but just those gray skies. So not the brightest beach weather going on. 85 Cocoa Beach, 90 in Orlando right now. Leesburg continues to run hot. at 96 degrees right now. So 5 o'clock, a lot of folks downtown, of course, watching the game, off and on rain to deal with. The coastal showers continue on into the evening, but the interior areas will tend to dry out a little bit. Periods of rain, especially the coastline, breezier at the coastline, of course, closer to the center of Arthur. Now, high temperatures tomorrow, anywhere from the upper 80s to the low 90s. Just depends on where you get those heavier squalls. They'll be coming through. In fact, our highest coverage of the rain likely to be tomorrow because of Arthur's closest approach, and it's strengthening a little bit, so we're getting a more of an expansive rain coming out here on the western side of this thing. Notice Futurecast bringing a little trailing band of heavy downpours on in through the afternoon tomorrow, possibly near the Florida Turnpike, and then by Thursday morning, we still have enough of that wind coming in here to produce at least a shower or two early, and then they focus on the east side of the peninsula by Thursday afternoon. So as we look at the rain forecast, still some above normal moisture levels through Thursday. Could see as much as about 3 inches in Brevard County. Our European model forecasting even more than that, but we do take a turn to the drier by the end of the week, just in time for the holiday weekend. The flooding impact certainly a concern in Brevard County, otherwise a low tornado and wind threat. There's your 7-day. Notice the rain coverage coming back down a little bit just in time for the holiday. Back to you, Martha and Jim.
You know, it's Jason's birthday today.
Yes, it is.
He's celebrating it in the Weather Center.
Happy birthday, Jason. And happy birthday to my brother, Rob.
Happy birthday to your brother.
Yeah.
The world's ugliest dog has already been crowned.
Do you have anyone you'd like to wish a birthday to?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I have to remember all my kids if I missed one of theirs.
It would be easy to overlook one of them.
It would be, yeah.
But did you know that the runner-up is from Florida? We'll introduce you to the hound that almost made the cut. What are you up to, like 9 kids now?
I think, no, 6, half dozen? Before Apple iPods, Zunes, or dare I say CD players, there were actually Sony Walkmans.
The portable tape player turns 35 today. For all of you who remember having to flip your cassette tape over, today is your day to reminisce about the rewind button. You know, the one that meant hearing your favorite singer in a high-speed, high-pitched voice over and over again until the tape stopped.
Is she doing jazzercise, or what is that?
I think she's doing the Jane Fonda work out there. Yeah, that's it. Happy birthday to the portable player that started it all.
You could call one man in Missouri an actual caveman. His house is built inside a cave, and now it's up for auction. William Sleeper says his failing health and some life changes are causing he and his family to move out of their 17,000 square foot cave house.
Nice.
The cave, which was also a former roller rink, has 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and 2 chambers.
Chambers?
What do you do in the chambers?
You.
And at last check, the bid was set at $225,000. You want to elaborate on that? Because I'm sure the viewers would want to know what you were thinking.
That, you don't have to spend much on roof repair. That's for sure.
Okay.
A hound from Florida is getting a lot of attention for her looks, and Quasimodo is definitely living up to her name.
Oh, my.
The mutt hound from Loxahatchee won 2nd place in the ugliest dog contest in California.
Oh, my.
Yeah, that's a short neck wonder right there. Quasimodo is actually missing some vertebrae, and the remainder are fused together, giving her body that peculiar, only a mother could love shape. The vet who rescued her says Quasi tends to be a hit or miss among most people.
If you're animal people, you always hit Quasi. But if you're not an animal person, I've had grown men jump on top of their trucks to get away from her. I had one kid that did a Hollywood scream.
All righty then. Don't let her looks fool you, though. Quasi's owners say she may look scary, but she loves everything and everybody. She's a good dog. Look at that. Oh. Coming up in just moments on West 2 News at 5, we have team coverage tracking the storm of the year.
Where Tropical Storm Arthur is heading in the hours and days to come, and who is already feeling its wet and windy effects.
Plus, the bomb squad investigating at a local landfill the suspicious find that prompted a large response to a local dump.